Doubt it.
Let me pull that up. So Doubt is our product. Get it up on the screen.
As you do that, I just want to make one note. We on this, for anyone who tunes in for the first time, we try to do reviews on our last episode of Call Board every single month. And in that, as long as at least two of us have played and we feel confident that we can speak to it properly, we're going to try and do those reviews. We're also, of course, always going to let you know if we have got this copy by way of a review from a publisher, and certainly make sure you're in the loop on that information. But other than that,
this one I bought.
This one you picked up.
Yeah, I bought it during the Holland holidays sale.
Yep.
So this is designed by Amabel Holland from Holland. If you guys don't know, Amabel Holland puts out the games that Amabel Holland wants from Holland. In the I believe she's listed it as the least practical but most expensive way so she could churn out these kinds of games, because they're all made on demand. So this is like a $70 game.
Yeah.
So in this game, it's a 2-player asymmetric game where you are either the tobacco industry or the movement against the tobacco industry, and both of you are aware that smoking causes cancer. And the whole point of this game is to cause so much disinformation as the tobacco industry while the movement is trying to take you down.
Yep.
And it's an extremely uphill battle for the movement, and it's an extremely lucrative process for the company.
Yeah. Just like real life.
Just like real life. The company plays a deck builder where they're going to be getting different cards from this market, and every turn they must play at least one card and purchase at least one card. If they fail to do so, they lose the game. All while they are getting their victims all across this chart over here. And anytime they need to do a reshuffle at the end of the round, you score profit on your victims, which you're going to score bucks on the elderly, and then you remove them. Then the middle age, for every 3 here, you remove 2, and then you score profit and you move them. It's a very dark topic, and it's purposely done so. And it tells such like a compelling story without telling anything, just by the gameplay mechanics there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the movement on their turn only does one action per turn, and those actions are either adding cards to your tableau of cards, or doing an action that's on this board right over here. And in order to do that action, you have to buy the card that's there. Or finally, you're trying to achieve different goals and win the game as the movement if you get 10 victory points. The furthest I got was 4.
Oh, wow.
It's very difficult because not only are you spending resources to achieve these goals, but your opponent can also block you from doing these goals too.
I had, when I played this and I had a chance to play as it was
the murderers.
I mean, there's really no way to describe it. It was, I've talked about experience with many of Amabel's games. This was an experience because I won the game and I felt awful.
Yeah.
I had all the doubt. I had my board was full. I had a ton of these people on my board, and I had a bunch of people ready to go from middle age to elderly, or elderly into, well, do the math. And man, it was mechanically, I just got to say, the deck building process was awesome. It was great. It was really it's fun to do, because you also couldn't take, if you ever didn't get a card, or you couldn't take a card, you would lose. So you're constantly just making sure, what am I taking the right cards, etc. There's ones in there that not so helpful, but they don't cost anything. Eventually, if that 0 pile runs out, well, not so helpful, because now that's gone and maybe you're going to be in trouble later on. But it wasn't much of an uphill battle for me, but it was such a true experience. So I described this as very much that experiential game. much like some other games that Amabel's produced. But man, from an experience perspective, it hits.
Yeah,
it hits, and it hits hard.
And she talks about it in her designer diaries. Her father died of lung cancer, right?
Yeah.
And it was a very personal kind of game to just go through this. And I do want to highlight the art, because the art is not meant to be glitzy or glammy based on her her designer diaries. You get this kind of like, I mean, when I saw this, I immediately thought of that John Carpenter movie, They Live. I get that vibe completely from this, complete with like the browning up of a smoke-filled house. And that's the vibe that I get from all of this, and it comes out like so well, showing like the dirt and the bleakness of it all. And she even, like the designer diaries in there, and like the notes that come with it, they're powerful. Like, they're really powerful. I feel like people should read them. There's a lot of powerful things that are said about the tobacco industry and what it was kind of designing this kind of game. With the movement, you are trying to basically build this tableau of cards, and when you're doing so, you are trying to match the different symbols when you place out these cards, and you'll gain the benefit if you do match those symbols. And again, gameplay wise, it was pretty sound. The only thing I did notice after my couple plays, and I still, haven't played this, I do want to play this some more. The movement has a huge disadvantage.
Yeah.
And
I feel like that's an understatement.
And
I
so
also
more so than Votes for Women, where like it's much more.
No, Votes for Women is a bit more. It has a bit more of a balance, for sure. And I mean, Amabel has commented that she's seen comments where the corporation is too powerful or the movement is too powerful. I have found in particular that the company is way too powerful. Not way too, just more powerful.
Yeah,
because the thing is, after my second play, I knew what to do as the movement, and I focused hard on. You have to focus on the goals. If you're playing as the movement, you focus on the goals. And if you don't focus on those goals, you're not going to achieve anything. Because anytime those goals get achieved, you get to apply negative effects to the company.
Okay. Yes.
So because you're doing one of the things is like flight bans. So you're preventing smoking on flights, which gives you like different resources. Other things like different TV and radio bans, local bans, they all correlate to cards that the corporation will have, and kind of nullifies those cards. They did, like, I couldn't think of another designer that could do something like this and do it well. It's a very
I don't think anybody else would touch a subject like this.
No, and I'm glad to see the board game medium used in this way.
Sure.
It's just, like granted, I love games to play, like to collect points and to have fun and see how the mechanics work. But to tell stories like this through mechanics, not with like, here's a book of flavor text. This is through mechanics. You understand exactly what is going on. Knocked out of the park for that.
Yeah. And I feel like I sound somber on this, but it's like,
well, how could you not be?
Yeah. But I don't want that to take away from what I think was a tremendously designed game that creates an experience that at the same time, honestly, one or two plays, and I won't need to run back to it, but I'll be glad I played it.
Yeah.
And that's the best way I can describe it. I describe it the same way I described the movie Life is Beautiful. I saw the movie. It was a phenomenal film.
Yeah.
I never needed to see it again.
Okay. Yeah.
This falls into that same category, and I think people should experience it. I think mechanically it's sound, and then in the long run, I'm not going to run back to it.
Yeah.
Because of the topic, but it is there's an art to what was created.
Yeah.
Brian is summing up kind of what you said, even though he hasn't played it yet. But besides that part of his comment,
Yeah.
It's kind of matches with what you're saying.
It is.
It's you want to sit down to play a game, but you have to go into this game with a different mindset.
Yeah, for sure.
And be ready for it, obviously. You're not going to spring this on somebody.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
That's not that type of experience.
No, but I do think if I were to show a game that shows something different, that like how can board games as a medium be used to craft stories, to tell stuff? I mean, that is a product I think is a very solid entry for showing how that is. And a lot of Holland Spiel games are very much like that. Right. Last year's Heading Forward was phenomenal in doing that with recovery from a traumatic brain injury.
And I think it belongs in a lot of collections for that reason. Yeah. I think that's actually the reason it would not be my collection. I think it could easily be in, anything from a library collection or an education collection, or it has I think a very specific place where I think it can serve so much value. And while it would not be something that I feel I'm rushing out to own for myself, it is one, like I said, I stand by the fact I think people need to play this, and you need to experience that. And it is one I will tell you, like I said, it was hard to look at my board at the end of that game.
I'll tell you this, because you played it as the corporation, the company, but you haven't played as the movement.
That's correct.
I strongly suggest that you try the movement out.
I would like to,
because it is an uphill battle, but I feel like it was attainable. It wasn't a lose-lose. Like, I feel like it was attainable, and I am eager to play it again from the movement's perspective. Because at least, in that perspective, you do have like, you're I guess you're on the quote-unquote good side of it, right? So I do want to play it again and focus more so on that side, but I am happy to let someone else be that movement and kind of tell them, like, listen, you have to focus on this. If you don't focus on this, you are not going to win.
And I agree.
Just coach them that way. And it's asynchronous, but it does such a great job of balancing multiplayer solitaire and getting the interaction right where it needs to be. And again, it tells such a hard... It's such a hard topic, but it was translated so well.
And I do think you need to play both sides if you play this. So I'm not done. I need to play it with the other side, and I need to play it with that. I think you do need to go with that knowledge, though.
Yeah.
You need to go into the knowledge of going for the goals, because if you just don't know what you're doing as on that side, and you're building up that tableau.
So I'd be curious to know, obviously, what your rating is now, and then if you would revisit your rating after playing the other side.
But I rate, for me, very much the experience of this game. Like I said, I stress phenomenal, and I thought the experience of this for me hit harder than Heading Forward did, even though I really appreciated Heading Forward.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So what do you got?
So if it was just like gameplay, I'd do an 8.1, but I'm gonna bring it to a 9.
Wow.
Just because of how much it translates.
Okay.
And listen, in a Euro board game world where a lot of Euro board games were focused on colonialism and kind of just toss this theme around as like window dressing, this takes a tough theme and brings it right into your face, and gets you into that, as opposed to like Blase Puerto Rico, which plays fine, but you're glossing over all the disgusting and atrocious things that happen. Doubt is Our Product takes that disgusting theme, takes that disgusting practice and the awfulness of the tobacco industry and pushes it right into your face in the foreground.
Yeah. And based on the way you've done yours, I will say, I think it's, from a gameplay mechanic perspective, solid 8 out of 10 for me. I think, I can bump that up to that 8.5 when I add in the experience. Yeah, I do think it does that. And again, I forget what I said about exactly what I said about Heading Forward, but to me, this hit just so much heavier than Heading Forward, even though I really appreciated what Heading Forward was doing. I mean, this it nails it. So I'll be looking forward to it, and that could jump up, like I said, a little bit when I play each side, but I appreciated enough of what was happening on both ends. That gameplay, mechanic design, just really well done, and very, very solid product here from Amabel.
Yeah, and that is our product.